Good morning, everyone. It's Monday, July 12th. Coming to you live from Seoul, I'm Kim Mo-gyan. Before we begin, these are the stories we're following at the top of the hour. South Korea will begin to observe the highest level of social distancing in the capital area for the next 2 weeks from today. This means private gatherings of more than 2 people will not be allowed after 6 p.m. Also from today, people in South Korea between the ages of 55 to 59 can make a reservation for Moderna's COVID-19 vaccine. They will be able to get inoculated from July 26th. British billionaire Richard Branson reached the edge of space on Sunday in a rocket built by his company, Virgin Galactic. And in doing so, he became the first billionaire to achieve the feat. We begin with the COVID-19 situation in South Korea. The nation reported 1,100 new infections Monday, recording more than 1,000 cases for the 6th consecutive day. As concerns continue to mount over rising infections, the nation's capital area will be observing the strictest level of distancing measures for the next 2 weeks, beginning today. Our Chang Tae-hyun tells us more.
The highest distancing measures, level 4, have been applied in South Korea's capital region starting Monday, with restrictions on gatherings put in place. This means that before 6 p.m., up to 4 people can get together, but after that time, only groups of 2 are allowed. So even if 4 friends meet, 2 of them should leave after 6. The measures apply to vaccinated people and those who come from outside the capital area. Although family members living in the same house and caregivers for babies and elders are excluded from the list. Community centers for older people are exempted as well. For weddings and funerals, up to 49 relatives can attend. After 6 p.m., no more than 2 people can go hiking or ride in a taxi. Only up to 2, excluding a caddy, can go golfing after 6. Nightlife facilities like bars and clubs will be shut until July 25. Restaurants, cafes, and cinemas can operate until 10 p.m. A maximum of 5,000 people can enjoy regular concerts while following guidelines such as staying at their designated seat. At the gym, people must not run faster than 6 kilometers per hour or use the shower. And sports events and religious worship will be held virtually. Health authorities decided to pull back the reins in order to take control of the spike in COVID-19 cases concentrated in the capital region and the rapid spread of the highly contagious Delta variant. People who don't follow the guidelines will be fined 100,000 won, around $87, and for businesses, up to 3 million won, or $2,600. Chang Tae-hyun, Arirang News.
In light of the recent spike in new daily infections, President Moon Jae-in will chair a meeting this afternoon to review the COVID-19 situation in Seoul and its surrounding areas. He will be joined by the mayors of Seoul and Incheon, the governor of Gyeonggi-do province, the prime minister, the health and interior ministers, as well as the head of the KDCA. They will check the virus control and prevention situation and review response measures in a bid to stabilize the situation as soon as possible. The Blue House Press Center will be shut down for the next 2 weeks starting Monday as a preemptive measure to prevent new infections. From today, people in South Korea between 55 to 59 years old can make a reservation for Moderna's COVID-19 vaccine. More than 3.5 million people are eligible, and inoculations will begin nationwide from July 26th. Reservations must be made before 6 p.m. on Saturday. Those 60 to 74 who previously made a reservation but were unable to get a shot may also reserve the Moderna vaccine. Authorities have advised that anyone who received fillers should be aware of the slight risk of facial swelling after the shot. With less than 2 weeks until the start of the Tokyo Olympics, Japan continues to grapple with a wave of COVID-19 infections. As of Sunday evening, over 2,000 new infections had been reported, with a daily tally surpassing the 2,000 mark for 5 straight days. Tokyo logged over 600 new cases on Sunday, with a tally on an upward trend for 22 days in a row. As a result, the Japanese government has placed Tokyo under its 4th COVID-19 state of emergency, which runs through mid-August. South Korea has urged Japan to respond prudently after Japanese news outlets reported the two countries are seeking to hold a summit this month on the occasion of the Tokyo Olympics. Kim Hyo-sun has more.
Seoul's foreign ministry has voiced strong regret over what it called the Japanese media's unilateral leak of ongoing coordination between the two countries on a possible bilateral summit between the leaders of the two countries. A foreign ministry official explained Sunday that the two countries have been engaging in dialogue for President Moon Jae-in's possible visit to Japan to attend the opening ceremony of the Tokyo Olympics and a sit-down with his Japanese counterpart. The remark followed a report in the Nihon Keizai Shimbun that said the Japanese government informed Seoul it would hold a summit, adding that President Moon has been seeking talks with Japanese Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga to improve bilateral ties. A number of other Japanese news outlets also reported on the matter, with Kyodo News Agency quoting sources that said Japan is insisting on a 15-minute casual meeting as Suga has to meet other leaders visiting Tokyo for the opening ceremony. Expressing regret, the South Korean Foreign Ministry official also said Japanese media outlets unilaterally leaked what had been discussed between the diplomatic authorities of the two countries, also pointing out that the reports were only from Tokyo's position and perspective. The official also called for Japan to respond prudently, adding it would be difficult to continue consultations under such circumstances. Kim Hyo-sun, Arirang News.
North Korea is accusing the United States of using aid and human rights as political tools to interfere in its internal affairs, reaffirming its commitment to self-reliance. An article posted on the regime's foreign ministry website on Monday says America's ulterior motive of linking humanitarian assistance with human rights issues is aimed at achieving a sinister political scheme. Recent reports have said Washington may consider sharing COVID-19 vaccines with the North if requested. But the article seems to reflect Pyongyang's rejection of humanitarian aid if the U.S. brings up its human rights issues. A South Korean couple who had been abducted in Haiti were released on Saturday local time after being held for over weeks. Seoul's foreign ministry said Monday that they left Haiti on Sunday to return home via a third country and were in good condition. The missionary couple were kidnapped by an unidentified group on the outskirts of the capital last month. The ministry had been working with the Haitian government to secure their release while also dispatching an emergency team. Seoul has recommended that people withdraw from the country, adding safety concerns may worsen following the assassination of the Haitian president last week. Now let's turn to our regular feature where we look at the big economic stories happening this week. South Korea will release its employment figures as well as export and import prices. And the U.S. Federal Reserve is to publish its Beige Book survey of current economic conditions. Seo Eun-kyung reports.
Statistics Korea will release its employment figures for June on Wednesday. In May, the employment rate for those between 15 and 64 increased by 1 percentage point to 61.2% on year, while the unemployment rate fell by half a percentage point to 4%. It was the third consecutive month for South Korea to add jobs on year after 12 straight months of decline from March 2020 to February 2021. The government agency attributed the job growth to robust exports, rising consumption, and partially the base effect, meaning the job market has improved on year in May compared to when the economy was hit hard by COVID-19. Also on Wednesday, the Bank of Korea will release import and export prices for June. Import and export prices both increased in May. The import prices increased by 2.6% a month, mainly due to rising global oil prices. The average price of Dubai crude, South Korea's benchmark, was around $60 a barrel in May, up almost 5.8% a month. As Dubai crude's price become higher than $70 as of the second week in July, showing a continued increase, the import prices in June are also expected to rise. Export prices rose by 1.5%, mainly due to an increase in the $1 exchange rate. The average $1 exchange rate rose by 0.3% from April to May this year. as the emergence of the Delta COVID-19 variant has increased the demand for low-risk assets such as the US dollar. The exchange rate is expected to continue to rise and will eventually impact export prices. The Federal Reserve will release its Beige Book on Wednesday as well. The latest report said that the U.S. economy expanded at a moderate pace from early April to late May. The central bank cited increased vaccination rates and relaxed social distancing measures as positive effects on the economy, including rising consumer spending, especially on leisure travel and restaurants. Released 8 times throughout the year, the Beige Book surveys current economic conditions across the 12 Federal Reserve districts. It will be used as the basis for the Fed's next policy discussion on July 27th to 28th. 서은경, 아리랑 뉴스.
British billionaire Richard Branson and 3 crew members reached the edge of space on Sunday in a rocket built by his company Virgin Galactic. Branson becomes the first billionaire to achieve the feat, as others, including Jeff Bezos, are looking to do the same. Lee Seung-jae has the story.
British billionaire Sir Richard Branson soared more than 80 kilometers above the New Mexico desert aboard his Virgin Galactic rocket plane on Sunday and safely returned to Earth in the first fully crewed test flight to space. It marked a symbolic milestone for Branson for a venture he started 17 years ago. Branson was among a crew of 4 mission specialists who reached speeds 3 times the speed of sound during launch, grazing the edge of space. Joining him on Galactic Unity 22 were 3 employees from Virgin Galactic: Colin Bennett, lead operations engineer; Beth Moses, chief astronaut instructor; and Sarisha Bandla, the vice president of government affairs and research operations. The crew reached a peak altitude of more than 85,000 meters and were weightless for a few moments before the Galactic Unity 22 made its descent. Upon his return, Branson described his view and his feeling about achieving his lifelong dream.
You know, as you go into space, it just the views are breathtaking. I mean, there's no question we are so lucky to have this planet that we all live on. It's just I'm never going to be able to do it justice. It's indescribably beautiful and yeah. Anyway.
The 71-year-old has another thing to boast about. He becomes the first billionaire to go into space. The founder of Amazon, Jeff Bezos, is set to take his company, Blue Origin, to space on July 20th, while the CEO of SpaceX, Elon Musk, is also in pursuit of creating commercial spaceflight opportunities. But according to Branson, it isn't a race, and he took his time during the post-flight press conference to wish Bezos the absolute best for his upcoming flight. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
It's the victory that Italy have been dreaming of, but heartbreak for England. For the first time since 1968, Italy have won the European Championship. In the Euro 2020 final at Wembley Stadium in London on Sunday, Italy beat England after a penalty shootout. The 2 sides fought out a 1-1 draw after extra time before Italy prevailed by 3-2 in the shootout. It was the first European Championship final that was settled on penalties since Czechoslovakia's win over West Germany in 1976. Italy are now European champions for the 2nd time ever. The death toll in the Florida condo collapse has risen to 90. There are now 217 people accounted for. 31 others remain missing. According to the Miami-Dade County Mayor, 71 of the victims have been identified so far, and their next of kin have been notified. Authorities say recovering the victims has become faster after the search operation shifted its focus from rescue to recovery. More than 6.3 million kilograms of concrete and debris have been removed from the site. Now, there's a special exhibition taking place in Seoul commemorating the 100th anniversary of the excavation of King Tutankhamun's tomb. It's at the War Memorial of Korea, and it features exact replicas of the tomb's many treasures, the originals of which are too fragile to be transported abroad. Kim Bo-kyung has more.
Egypt is known for its archaeological treasures, and one of the greatest discoveries is the tomb of Tutankhamun. In 1922, archaeologist Howard Carter found the first step to the entrance of a sealed pharaoh's tomb in the Valley of the Kings and stumbled on its buried treasures.
The tomb was found almost intact, which is a very rare case in Egyptian history. It also was very well preserved, so lots of artifacts could be investigated by archaeologists, letting them know how pharaohs actually lived.
Though the discoveries have mesmerized people, the 3,000-year-old treasures were too fragile to be shown abroad. To quench people's curiosity and commemorate the 100th anniversary of the excavation, Egyptian craftsmen and Egyptologists have reproduced the buried artifacts down to the finest detail for an international tour of cities such as New York and Paris. Now the exhibition has arrived in South Korea.
We let visitors come across the treasures in 3 burial chambers, just as they were found by Howard Carter almost 100 years ago, and how the tomb looked when King Tut was buried 3,400 years ago.
The thousands of carefully recreated buried goods include a throne and chariots, yet the most eye-catching are shrines and coffins, along with King Tut's famous gold mask.
The mummy of Tutankhamun was very well protected. With an 11-kilogram gold mask on his face, the mummy was encased by 3 coffins, and 4 shrines nestled one inside the other surrounded the sarcophagus of King Tut.
Adding on to that, the Egypt expert says a lock of hair from Tutankhamun's grandmother and the coffins are an important relic, showing his affection toward his family. The exhibition runs until April next year at the War Memorial of Korea in Yongsan-gu District. Kim Bo-kyung, Arirang News.
Welcome. It's time for The World Now, bringing you some of the most interesting news from around the globe. I'm Ji-young. A record-shattering deadly heat wave sizzling the Pacific Northwest and Canada has killed hundreds of people, and it's also killing tens of thousands of animals. And roughly 1 billion marine animals, including mussels, clams, and sea stars along Canada's Pacific coast, were cooked to death in late June due to the extreme weather.
Basically cooked the oysters, clams, mussels. Most of the mussels around here now are all gone. My clams, you can see the sand dollars and stuff, were all dead.
The Pacific Northwest is not the only place with scorching heat. Ice cream could hardly last for seconds in northwest Russia's heat wave, where the mercury hit the 32 degrees Celsius mark. This is about 10 degrees higher than the same period last year. World number 1 Novak Djokovic has claimed the 20th Grand Slam title. He beat Italy's Matteo Berrettini in the Wimbledon final on Sunday to equal the record that had been previously shared by Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer. This was also his 3rd consecutive Wimbledon title and 6th overall at the legendary British tournament. The 34-year-old has now won all 3 men's Grand Slam titles in 2021, including the Australian Open and French Open. And by winning the crown at the All England Club, he's one step closer to achieving a Golden Slam. Germany's Steffi Graf is the only player to win all 4 majors and an Olympic title within a calendar year, winning Golden Slam in 1988. It seems like COVID-19 can't stop people's love for music. What seems like something from a science fiction film set is an open-air concert with spectators in protective bubbles. Spanish artist Miki Nunez performed in front of the bubbles on Friday in a city near Barcelona. They enjoyed the concert while shielding themselves from the coronavirus in the bubbles. Some 40 people were divided into 20 bubbles where they listened to the music through headphones.
Good morning. Last week was a wet one with torrential rain in the south, but this week looks to be a blistering one. In fact, today could be the hottest day of the season so far, with heat wave alerts in place for most of Korea. And daily highs will be a couple degrees higher today, so heat alerts could be expanded or upgraded in more parts today. So if you plan on spending some time outdoors, be sure to take regular breaks during the hottest parts of the day to avoid heat-related illnesses. I mean, we really don't want to get sick around this time. Seoul, Gwangju, and Jeju will hit 33 degrees Celsius this afternoon, and you know high humidity will make it feel even hotter than these actual temperatures. Well, there's a chance of heavy passing rain this afternoon along with thunder and lightning again, so please keep an umbrella handy. The heat wave will linger during the day and night with a chance of more passing rain this week. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the weather conditions around the world.
And that will do it for us at this hour on Arirang News. We'll be back at noon Korea time, so stay tuned. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.